People who rarely or never post their photos on social media are often misunderstood, and the assumptions made about them are usually far from accurate. Many people immediately think they are shy, insecure, or trying to hide something. While this can sometimes be true, in most cases the reasons are much deeper and more nuanced. For these individuals, avoiding posting photos is often a conscious and deliberate choice rather than a default behavior. They have developed a sense of self that is independent of the validation and approval that social media tends to demand. Unlike those who constantly seek attention or affirmation online, they feel no pressing need to broadcast their image or their life for the world to see. Their sense of identity is internally grounded, which allows them to feel secure without relying on likes, comments, or shares. This decision often reflects a deeper understanding of self-worth. People who avoid posting photos have recognized that external validation can be fleeting and sometimes misleading. They understand that a photo online does not define their value, nor does it encapsulate who they are in real life. By choosing not to participate in this digital display, they maintain a certain level of emotional and psychological freedom. They are aware of the pressures and comparisons that social media creates and consciously opt out to protect themselves from its potential negative effects. They know that constant exposure invites scrutiny, judgment, and comparison, which can subtly influence self-esteem over time. By not posting, they retain control over how they are perceived and avoid unnecessary stress. Additionally, this behavior can be linked to a preference for living in the present rather than performing for an audience. People who do not post photos tend to experience life as it happens, rather than through the lens of how it will appear to others. They focus on moments for the sake of personal enjoyment, reflection, and memory, rather than for digital documentation. Social media encourages the curating of one's image to project a particular persona, and this curated self is often far from authentic. Those who refrain from posting photos resist this performative aspect, choosing instead to engage genuinely with their surroundings and with the people around them. Their experiences are personal and intimate rather than public and performative. It is also important to understand that not posting photos does not equate to a lack of social interaction or emotional expression. These individuals may be highly social in real life, deeply empathetic, and fully engaged in their relationships. Their choice to avoid posting is not about disconnection. It is about prioritizing meaningful interaction over digital display. They are selective about where and with whom they share their personal moments, valuing depth over breadth. By limiting their digital exposure, they create a sense of privacy and personal space that allows them to nurture their thoughts, feelings, and relationships without external interference. In summary, people who do not post their photos on social media are often grounded, self-aware, and intentional about how they present themselves. Their choice reflects independence, self-respect, and a preference for authenticity over performance. While it may appear unusual in a society obsessed with online presence, this behavior highlights a quiet strength and an understanding that true self-worth is internal, not dependent on public validation. It is a conscious decision to protect one's identity and maintain integrity in a world increasingly driven by appearances. Another significant reason why some people avoid posting their photos on social media is a strong desire for privacy and emotional control. In today's digital age, every personal moment shared online becomes public property, open to interpretation, judgment, and scrutiny. People who highly value their psychological boundaries are often uncomfortable with the idea of exposing their image or personal life to an audience that they cannot fully control. For them, social media is not simply a platform to connect with others. It is a space where their sense of personal autonomy can be easily compromised. Choosing not to post photos is a way to maintain control over how much of themselves is accessible to others and to safeguard their private world from unwanted intrusion. This decision often reflects a careful weighing of risks and benefits. Social media interactions may seem harmless on the surface, but every post can invite judgment, criticism, and comparison. Photos, in particular, are permanent markers of identity that can be misinterpreted, altered, or even misused. People who avoid posting understand that this type of exposure carries potential emotional consequences. By keeping their images private, they are setting boundaries that protect their mental well-being and prevent unnecessary stress. They recognize that their self-worth does not depend on validation from strangers or even casual acquaintances online. For many, the choice is also deeply connected to emotional intelligence. These individuals understand that attention, likes, and comments can create addictive feedback loops that distort self-perception. People who post frequently often find themselves comparing their lives, appearances, or achievements with others. Those who abstain are less susceptible to this phenomenon. They do not need external approval to confirm their value, and they are less likely to be affected by the CU. Rated images and lifestyles of others. By avoiding photo posts, they reduce exposure to social pressures that can subtly shape behavior and self-esteem. Additionally, a preference for privacy often intersects with a desire for authenticity. People who avoid posting photos tend to focus on real-life experiences rather than their digital representations. They are aware that the social media persona often differs significantly from reality. By not posting, they avoid creating a curated version of themselves that may feel artificial or inauthentic. They prefer their real-life interactions and experiences to carry meaning on their own terms rather than being filtered and validated through the online lens of others. It is important to note that avoiding social media photos is not a sign of fear or social avoidance. Many of these individuals are outgoing, socially confident, and deeply engaged in meaningful relationships offline. They may enjoy sharing experiences with close friends and family in private, intimate settings, rather than broadcasting them to a broad audience. Their choice is about intentionality, control, and the quality of their interactions. It allows them to maintain boundaries while cultivating deeper, more authentic connections. Ultimately, the decision not to post photos reflects a high level of self-awareness and intentionality. These individuals understand that privacy is a form of self-respect. They know that their value does not come from visibility, and they protect their mental and emotional space with care. In a world where constant sharing is often normalized, this conscious choice demonstrates independence, resilience, and the courage to live life on their own terms. It is not a rejection of society or connection. It is a commitment to honoring themselves first. A third reason why some people avoid posting their photos on social media is a deep connection to internal focus and personal presence. These individuals often experience life from the inside rather than through the lens of public perception. While many people live in a constant loop of capturing, posting, and comparing, those who refrain from sharing photos tend to engage fully in the moment. They do not pause experiences to document them for an audience. Instead, they immerse themselves in the feelings, sensations, and interactions as they happen. This allows them to appreciate life for its intrinsic value rather than for its potential online representation. People with this mindset often derive fulfillment from experiences themselves rather than from the external validation they could receive by sharing them. A quiet walk in nature, a meaningful conversation, or even a simple personal achievement is valued for the internal satisfaction it brings, rather than for how it might appear to others. This internal focus nurtures mindfulness and self-awareness. These individuals are less concerned with projecting a specific image or curating their persona online, and more interested in living authentically and intentionally. Their energy is directed inward toward growth, reflection, and personal understanding rather than outward toward approval or attention. This approach also affects their relationships and social interactions. People who do not post photos often prioritize meaningful connections over superficial displays of social engagement. They invest their time and attention in real-life interactions that carry depth, intimacy, and mutual understanding. While social media encourages fleeting connections and performative interactions, those who abstain from posting photos tend to cultivate fewer but more authentic relationships. They are present when engaging with others and are less distracted by the urge to document or share. Their social energy is focused on genuine experiences, which enhances their emotional intelligence and strengthens bonds with those who matter most. Moreover, avoiding photo sharing reflects an understanding of the transient and performative nature of social media. Many posts are designed to impress or gain recognition, often emphasizing style, appearance, or lifestyle over authenticity. People who consciously choose not to participate in this performative cycle are aware of the subtle pressures it imposes. By staying off the posting cycle, they maintain mental clarity, protect their self-esteem, and resist the comparison traps that affect so many online users. Their self-worth is less contingent on external metrics like likes or comments, and more anchored in their personal values and experiences. Interestingly, this internal focus often correlates with creativity and introspection. By directing attention inward, they have space to explore ideas, emotions, and passions without distraction. Their creativity is not driven by social validation, but by personal curiosity and enjoyment. Similarly, their reflections, insights, and personal growth are genuine and untainted by the need to conform to social expectations or trends. Ultimately, people who do not post photos on social media cultivate a rich, inwardly focused life. They value authenticity over performance, presence over display, and personal meaning over public validation. Their self-worth comes from internal reflection, private satisfaction, and real-life experiences, rather than online recognition. This approach demonstrates a profound sense of self-awareness, intentionality, and emotional maturity. By choosing internal focus, they protect their mental space, nurture deeper connections, and experience life in a more meaningful and present way, free from the constant pressures of digital performance. Ultimately, not posting photos on. Social media is often a reflection of quiet confidence and intentional living. People who make this choice understand that visibility does not equate to value, and that self-worth is not determined by how many people see, like, or comment on your life. For them, the decision to remain largely offline in terms of personal imagery is a form of self-respect and personal integrity. They recognize that every post shared online opens the door to judgment, misinterpretation, and sometimes even misuse. By avoiding this, they maintain control over how they are perceived and retain the freedom to define themselves on their own terms. This intentional absence is not rooted in fear, insecurity, or antisocial tendencies. On the contrary, many of these individuals are socially confident, engaged in meaningful relationships, and fully capable of forming connections in real life. Their choice is a deliberate boundary, a way to preserve mental space and maintain authenticity in a world that constantly encourages performance. Social media, especially visual content, often emphasizes curated perfection, comparison, and validation seeking. Choosing not to participate allows them to resist these pressures and focus on what truly matters in life: genuine experiences, personal growth, and inner peace. In addition, this behavior reflects a strong sense of autonomy. By not posting photos, they exercise control over their personal narrative. In an era where anyone can take screenshots, share images, or comment without permission, maintaining privacy is an act of empowerment. They decide when, where, and with whom to share personal information. This selective sharing reinforces a sense of agency, which strengthens confidence and reduces anxiety that arises from constant exposure. It also encourages self-reliance, as they do not depend on external validation to feel worthy or secure. The impact, this choice extends beyond mental health and personal control. It also shapes how they engage with the world. Their connections are often deeper because they are formed through real-world interactions rather than online performance. People who avoid posting photos tend to invest in authentic communication, emotional presence, and active listening. Their social energy is preserved for meaningful relationships, which are built on mutual respect and understanding rather than public display or popularity metrics. This prioritization of quality over quantity in relationships allows them to foster trust, intimacy, and lasting bonds. Moreover, choosing not to post photos encourages reflection and self-awareness. Without the distraction of constantly curating an online persona, they are free to observe their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors honestly. This internal reflection often leads to personal growth, emotional intelligence, and resilience. They become less reactive to societal pressures and more attuned to their values, priorities, and goals. Their lives are lived intentionally, not for external approval, but for inner fulfillment. Ultimately, abstaining from posting photos is a conscious practice of self-respect, authenticity, and intentionality. It demonstrates that confidence does not need to be broadcast, and worth does not require validation. Their online silence is not emptiness, it is a statement of purpose. It is a choice to live life fully, privately, and meaningfully, with presence, integrity, and clarity. In a world obsessed with visibility, this quiet approach reflects strength, self-awareness, and true empowerment, showing that the most important connections are those that happen offline, within the heart, mind, and real life.